Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Now, I'm going to have a little bit more of a discussion with myself today anyway, because I'm on a video, about early access games and games that sort of brand themselves as being early access. Because I have quite a problem with them at the moment, which is early access games. I don't mind them as long as they actually somewhat work. I mean, I have a couple of early access games, mainly Space Engineers being what is labelled as early access, and that game, yeah, it performs all right, but it's not it doesn't perform amazingly. But most of the other features in the game actually work. Now, I have tried No Man's Sky, and it is completely shocking. It's terrible in comparison to what it was said for it. That was going to be planned for it. So yeah. I don't understand why people do this. I mean, you release a early access game, you're going to brand it this, and this, but it doesn't come up with those features. But when it comes to early access, what I deem as early access is you start showing off the game in an aspect that is somewhat playable. I get that. But then, I still think you, as a developer, for developing an early access game, should focus on getting the game to a stable position first. So the game runs alright, people can actually experience what they expect from the game, and not just shitty performance and all that. Because it's aggravating to play a game that you know has the potential to be a good game, but it just doesn't run well. For example, I'll use Ark. Ark Survival Evolved. Dinosaur survival game, really enjoyed the gameplay, performed pretty subpar my GTX 760, and because it didn't perform very well even on like lower settings, the resolution scale was low, we basically did everything, we put the game into like Minecraft mode effectively, and it still ran so poorly, and it got so aggravating to the point where it was glitchy, it was buggy, the frame rate just really stopped us from playing the game all that well. I mean, I get headaches if I play it at frame rates too low. Like DayZ I could bear with, but I could only play it a couple of hours at a time before I'd get physically tired of the frame rate being 29 to 30. And that's what got really annoying. So, what I would like to see from early access games more or less nowadays is you get the game to a stable point where it can actually perform at a decent level, not just being featureful. I'd rather have the game performing well. I mean, like, betas for games, like Overwatch had a decent beta, and what else had? Star Wars Battlefront had a decent beta. Battlefield 4 didn't have a decent beta, but Battlefield 1 also had a decent beta. I feel like betas of games nowadays are actually more stable than games in early access, which I guess can kind of be a bit, I don't know. I find that a bit weird that the beta of the game is an early build of it, but yet the betas of games are more accustomed to what they become for the end of the game, like what the game's end release will be like. But why? I think early access games and people who develop early access games really need to get a sort of an idea on what needs to be in the game and what needs to be a key feature of the game for its initial early access release. I'm sick and tired of having an early access game perform like shit. It would be if you had an early access game that performed well, say 60 FPS on most setups, most people wouldn't have any problem going back and playing more of this early access title. If it had bugs, then yeah, I can understand if it had game-breaking bugs, but I would rather have a game that performs well, because that is the one thing I can't stand anymore. Especially now I've upgraded to a 144Hz monitor. I can, for first-person shooters, I leave it in 144Hz mode. For single-player games and other games that I can not quite get 144 frames per second in, I'll switch it down to 60, or I'll swap the game to my 60Hz monitor, which is my second monitor. And yeah, I can tell there's a bit of a difference, but it's not horrific. And it's those early access games that I know have the potential to be very good games that need to benefit from having the optimization put into actually fixing the game. But it doesn't seem like it's something that anybody really wants to do, which is a little bit annoying because I value a bit more performance over feature sets. But that's apparently not what everyone else seems to favour over feature sets in games. And betas of games I don't mind either, because most of the betas in games are actually somewhat decent performing as well, which is ironic. Just as I said a minute ago, the betas of games seems to be getting closer to the fact that they are more in line with what the game will be when it releases, not to the point where it's not an earlier build. Yes, it's an earlier build, and we won't get the highest or the latest features in the game, but it's not as buggy as an early access game nowadays. I find that really sort of a bit annoying, because the early access games have more potential than some of the games in betas, I think. I mean, one of the most stable games I think I've played for ages has been Overwatch. I mean, I've had a couple of crashes out, but that was mainly because my hardware was overheating. Because one of my CPU water block wasn't seated properly, so I blue screen after getting to a certain temperature. But that was a problem that I had in my hardware, so I fixed that, and it's been fine. But hey, I don't mind early access games, but I just wish they could get the the priorities straight with the idea of having performance, then adding features. That is all I ask for in early access titles. Anyway, enough about more of the early access things, but I want to see why, like, titles and games, they promise like so much more than they get given. But I don't understand why some developers promise things but never give them out. It's kind of annoying. Like, yes, I'm going to go with No Man's Sky here. Promised a lot. I tried it out, and it was not really what was said it was going to be, which was disappointing to say the least, because I think the game had quite a lot of potential. I'm still looking forward to having a space sim, and that's the next game I want, is like something like Star Citizen. I am so excited for a game like that, which is why I really enjoy Space Engineers. I love my space sims. Like Space Engineers, Star Citizen, what was No Man's Sky I was excited for until it came out. That's another indie, like a sandbox game, which I'm looking forward to coming out, but I can't remember its name. But I really want to enjoy my space sim games, because they are the games I really, really, really want to play. Like, I can't stress enough how excited I am for a game like that to finally release, which is why I think Star Citizen is going to be amazing when it ever fucking releases. But obviously, it hasn't come out yet, so I can't really say anything about that title. I've seen gameplay on it, but I can't say anything because it's not out yet. But I'm really excited for a game of that caliber to eventually come out. And that is what I want. I want a space sim, but I can't get my hands on a decent one. Space Engineers is more of your sandbox indie building game rather than a space sim game. But as I said, with the Space Engineers in particular, they're doing new multiplayer coding, all that shit. But when a game like that does release, I'm going to be playing the living shit out of it. Because it's going to be a game I have been waiting for probably a bit too long, to be honest. I love this type of game. I don't want there to be more. But I haven't got the opportunity to play one yet because it's not out. And I'm like yawning a lot in this video, sorry. But I can't wait for a space sim game. It's like the type of game I've wanted to play since I was a lot younger. I can't remember if there's any decent ones that came out beforehand, but I've enjoyed Space Engineers a lot. It's just a little bit buggy, but you can mod the game, which for me is quite an important feature. I mean, yeah, I know Star Citizen probably won't support its mods, but I'm not overly fussed if it doesn't support mods, because mainly it'll be rather an interesting game to see. But I can't wait. It looks like games I want to play anyway. Space sim games might come out in the next couple of years. I just hope early access games can also sort their shit out and get somewhat decent releases and actually come out. Because half of the early release games or early access games I've played are still in early access 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. So I just want one to eventually release, but it takes a while. But anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video.